Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Charlie in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I took away my dad's GF's keys after she tried to send me to bed. For context, I am a 21-year-old woman and I have 4 siblings, a 26-year-old brother, a 23-year-old brother, a 12-year-old sister, and a 10-year-old brother. Our uncle has been our legal guardian since our mother passed away, and my father has been absent from our lives. My 23-year-old brother and I are home for the summer from college. My oldest brother lives in the city. Since we have come home, my uncle has been away on a work trip, so it has just been me and my siblings around the house. Further context, my father used to be a problem drinker and was basically estranged for half of my life with very limited contact. Growing up, it has always been my siblings and me taking care of each other. For the past year or so, my father has been trying to reconnect with us, mainly my younger siblings. He has been improving his habits. He was clean for 3 years and managed to keep his act together. Because of this, we have allowed a couple of visits from time to time. 4 months ago, he started seeing someone new, quite a bit younger than him, in her 30s. She seems to have this strange obsession with playing mom. She visits much more frequently than he does and seems to be under the impression that she is our new stepmother. I think it's kind of weird, but we just let her do her thing since she is not harming anyone. She does have this patronizing way of addressing us. It is better with my older brothers, but gets a little ridiculous sometimes with me. Again, I kind of just ignore it and go about my own business. A few weeks before my brother and I came home, she was helping my uncle pick up our younger siblings from school and driving them home. Because of that, she was given a key to the house. Since then, she has been around all the time, playing parent to my younger siblings, but not really doing much because my older brothers and I take care of the responsibilities. In short, the situation started when we had her and my father over for dinner. My brothers cooked a great meal and everything was going well until my father made a very insensitive and inappropriate joke during dinner. She corroborated that joke by making a really ugly insinuation about our late mother. I am not going to get into that. We saw them out and that was that. We put the kids to bed, talked about what happened, and informed our uncle about the situation. We were all unsure of what to do. The next afternoon, both my brothers were busy at work and I picked up the kids from school and got home to find my father's girlfriend in our kitchen. This was the first time she let herself in when nobody was home, and it caught me off guard. She had basically come to apologize on my father's behalf. She said that he felt so ashamed he couldn't bear coming here. I sent the kids to their rooms and explained the situation to her. I also told her that I found her comment extremely inappropriate and in poor taste. She started laughing it off, but I was clear with her that we would not tolerate anything like that again. She then said something like, "Aw, it's so cute that you're trying to be their mom. They're adult." I just blinked at her. The remainder of that conversation, she maintained that same attitude, not taking me seriously and treating me patronizingly. Naturally, I got fed up and started making dinner. I do not know where she went for a while. I think she went into the kids' rooms to help them with homework, but she stuck around for the rest of the night. Out of kindness, I cooked extra food for her even though she did not ask permission to stay, and lo and behold, she stayed for dinner. Later in the night, she was fawning over the kids again, and around 10 o'clock, in her stepmom manner, she said, "Okay, my dears, it's time for bed." My younger siblings were in the living room watching television. They are usually pretty disciplined about going to bed themselves. At this, they looked over at me and gave me the look like, "What is this lady doing?" I just shrugged and they went off to their rooms because it was close to their usual bedtime anyway. Now, wait for this. I'm in the kitchen cleaning up. Father's girlfriend is on her phone at the island. She looks up at me and says, "You too, hun." It crosses my mind that she could be joking, but after a moment, I realize this was not a joke. She was in fact telling me to go to bed. So I naturally say, "What?" She says, "It's getting late, time for bed," and kind of tuts at me. To remind you, I am 21 years old. I go to college and am working almost full time in the summer. I have been taking care of my family since I was 12. This woman has been dating my estranged father for barely half a year. So I give her the benefit of the doubt. She clearly has some mental issues and is a little crazy. I tell her I think it is time for her to go home. She is insistent that I go on to bed, still acting like she is my mother. This irritates me. I explain to her that I feel disrespected being spoken to like that and that I am an adult. As an extension of our previous conversation, I need her to take me seriously because I do not joke around about my family or my siblings, and she is on thin ice. She continues to laugh me off and uses a super patronizing tone. Again, she uses the phrase, "It's so cute when teenagers try to act like adults," and throws in some comments about me having a hissy fit and being rebellious. At this point, I am just so fed up with everything that I simply say, "You have 5 minutes to get your things and leave this house." In response, she scoffs, gets up, and walks off to the bathroom. On the way, I hear her say something like, "No wonder Anatole, my dad, says you're a frigid little priss." When she is in the bathroom, I go over to her handbag and the keys on the couch. She has a gigantic key ring and a ton of keys, so knowing she would not notice, I remove our house key from the ring. Then I go back to my room. I hear her leave maybe 20 minutes later. The next day, I get a bunch of texts from her, panicking about the key. I told her I took it. She called me a brat and said she was going to tell my uncle and brothers that I was being childish. I told her I was at work and that if she wanted to talk, she could call me at 4 o'clock. Otherwise, she could bother my brothers about it, but they were at work too, so good luck with that. She went off again with the stop pretending to be an adult thing and said that my younger siblings were like her kids, that she needed to take care of them and that this was unsafe. The last text I sent her was, "This is the last I will say on this. You have been disrespectful to me and my brothers since we met and have dismissed my attempts to communicate with you. I am no longer investing energy into enduring your behavior. I will be honest, there is very little chance that you are going to get that key back. This is not helping those chances. Like I said, 4 p.m., you can call." She yapped some more, then blew up my brother's phones and texted my uncle as well. I am writing this as it is occurring. I told my brothers a bit about what happened when she came over, but they do not know the full story. My uncle is also in the dark, but I will tell them what happened if I need to. Look, I do not doubt that in her heart, she truly cares for my younger siblings. I do not think she is a bad person or anything. Plus, my uncle trusted her enough to give her entry into his house. She just really pissed me off. Her whole stepmom act is also really facetious to me. I would have no problem letting her help out around the house if she was respectful and communicated that is what she wanted. Anyway, am I the asshole? Update. After Dad's girlfriend's freakout, my uncle called me and said, "What's this about her saying you stole her keys and kicked her out?" He was already laughing as he said this because he knows and trusts me and knows I am a level-headed person. I told him, yeah, she tried to put me to bed and called me a priss, and that cracked him up hard. When I told my brothers, they said, "Wow, I'm surprised you didn't knock her out." They both knew she could be a little weird, but never like that. I think it was because it was the first time she and I were alone. She is not coming back to the house or picking up the kids again. She only sees the kids when they hang out with Dad and when the oldest brother is around. My uncle has full custody of the kids. They are safe. There is more nutty stuff going on with her though. I will have another update prepared soon. It is going to be very interesting. Update 2. This update is actually bonkers. On one hand, I am so tired of this nonsense. On the other, I am happy to at least give you all a good story. First of all, to everyone who is concerned about the mental stability of my dad's girlfriend and the safety of our family, do not worry. The children are safe and sound. As I said, I have informed the adults of the family about everything. The children always have one of us around, and yes, my uncle has full legal custody of them. My dad is, in the nicest way possible, a spineless, pathetic person. Even if his girlfriend wanted to use him to do something, she would not be able to. My uncle has a stable career, is renowned in his field, and is loved in the neighborhood, so there is no possible legal battle that could be mounted. Furthermore, we are keeping an eye on her, and she only sees the children when my dad sees them. Since the beginning of summer, she has not picked them up. That was always going to be temporary. And no, she will not be picking them up again. We took your advice and called the school. The children are already out for the summer, but the school is aware for the next semester. We do have cameras around the house. We confirmed that the incident was the first time she was in the house alone. This is not meant to relieve myself of any responsibility, but I really did not see that incident coming. She was on good terms with my uncle, friends with my oldest brother, she loved the children, and the children loved her. Besides the occasional weirdness toward me and my second brother, it seemed fine. I see lots of questions like, why did she have the key in the first place? Again, she was a trusted adult in my uncle's eyes. She was his brother's girlfriend, and he thought he knew her well. She volunteered to help pick the children up after school on days my uncle got busy, so he gave her a key to the house so she could get the children home safely. Many of you expressed frustration with how I handled the situation, saying I should have been more proactive or harsher to her. All fair. I am sure some of you would have done better than me. I am simply a low-energy person who is not very reactionary. That is all I can say. But those disappointed that I did not respond with violence do not seem to understand that you cannot risk that with children in the house. That is not something I want them to see, and God forbid if it escalates, it could put them in danger. As it turns out, you were right. She was mistaken about my age, not that it excuses her behavior. She thought I was 18. My uncle cleared that up with her. Yes, I did get an apology after what happened. No, I really do not care. She apologized by saying she was so sorry about what she said and that she sensed disrespect from me, which made her defensive, and I just said okay and left it at that. She also apologized to the rest of the family about her joke at dinner. Regarding the comment my dad supposedly made, I have it on good authority that she fabricated it. You do not have to believe me, but I know my father well and he is not like that. Other than that, thank you all for the ceaseless support. I am reading all of your comments even if I am not responding. I appreciate all of your thoughts and advice. For the ease of this story, my dad's girlfriend will be called Sorrel and my older brothers are Henri and Teddy. Alright, get some popcorn because here we go. It is my little brother's elementary school graduation and the whole family is there, including my uncle who joins via video call. Henri's girlfriend is there as well. It is a very happy occasion. Dad is banned, boo-hoo. After photos are taken, we all go to the park since my little brother loves watching the ducks and digging for snails. I notice Henri is very distracted by his phone. I ask him what is going on. It turns out he was sending photos of the graduation to our dad, which is fine, but now dad is asking to come say hello to us at the park since he is nearby. We decide that is okay. It is a special day, we are all in a good mood, and the kids want to see their dad too. So dad shows up with Sorrel. Immediately, as soon as they get out of the car and greet the kids, Sorrel looks at me and makes a snarky joke. Oh, hi everyone, hi, hey, oh, and there is mom. For the sake of the happy children, I just exchange glances with my brothers and say nothing. Throughout our time at the park, Sorrel mostly interacts with the kids and Henri. Teddy and Henri's girlfriend get us hot dogs, we move to the picnic bench to eat, and I am quite hungry, so I scarf down 3 hot dogs in a matter of seconds. Here, Sorrel makes her second comment of the day to me. You are going to have a lot of yakking to do after that. She gestures to her mouth with her fingers. For context, I am healthy and slim with a high metabolism, so I naturally eat a lot. I take this as her implying I should make myself sick. I simply reply I do not do that and keep eating. Fast forward, Henri and his girlfriend have gone to the bathroom. As we are wrapping up, Sorrel turns to my dad and says, "Babe, if you are tired, I can take the kids home." Teddy snorts into his water cup and says something like, "Lady, you are crazy." I add, "No, we are good." She continues, "Are you sure? I do not mind driving." I inform her that I drove. She then asks, "You can drive?" This makes my younger siblings look at each other and giggle. At this point, I am just sitting back, sipping my soda, helping my little brother sort the rocks he collected. I really do not care what comes out of this woman's mouth anymore. Dad steps in and says, "Yeah, she drives like a bat out of hell. My car is parked down the street in view." He points to it and says, "That's her ride, nice, isn't it?" Sorrel turns to my dad and says, "Ah, so that's where all your money ends up." Dad replies, "Oh, no, her money." Sorrel then starts asking me a bunch of questions about how much the car cost, how much money I make, etc. It was really weird. Henri and his girlfriend return and more small talk happens. We get on the topic of Henri's work banquet. Henri talks about the whole event. He asks our dad and Sorrel if they would like to attend, but it is very late notice, so it's okay if they cannot. They say of course they will come. Henri's girlfriend says, "So sad I won't be there." Sorrel responds, "Who are you walking in with then?" Henri says, "I asked Charlie by default after we found out girlfriend couldn't be there." Sorrel replies, "Your sister? Isn't that kind of weird?" and makes a face-scrunching expression. Henri's girlfriend was not putting up with it. She just said, no, not weird at all. Then Sorrel says to Henri, "All right, but we will get some photos together, right?" Before he can respond, his girlfriend says, "Yeah, there's the family photo stuff at the end. I don't know if they have it for extended family though." Then turns and walks off to throw away the trash. That kind of wraps up the park day. 2 nights later, Henri is back at his apartment with his girlfriend. I am home with my other siblings. I get a video call from him. I pick up and he says, "Get Teddy, right now." I get my other brother. Henri is apparently bewildered about something. I can hear his girlfriend in the background. He tells me he is sending me screenshots. I say, okay. Teddy and I read them. The screenshots are of Henri's text conversation with Sorrel. He only had Sorrel's contact in case of emergency when she was picking up the kids from school last month. As we read them, Henri explains that she initiated a light text conversation after the incident with me, just asking about our general well-being and making small talk. He held her at arm's length, but texted her back to be polite. The texts he sent me start with Sorrel asking about the gala again and what she should wear. Henri politely texts back that he already communicated this with his dad, so she can just ask him. After a few more texts, she goes back to the topic of his +1 for the gala. She says it would be so good for her networking that he should make sure to get photos of them together, and asks if he is sure he wants to go with me as his +1. She says the brother-sister thing might be kind of weird, like people might mistake us for dating. He responds curtly that it is very normal and he is taking me. Then she starts asking about where he takes his lunch. She then offered to bring him lunch at his work. Her last text read, "Would not want my baby boy to go hungry." My jaw hit the floor. Teddy was cackling. I could hear Henri's girlfriend in the background saying, "That witch, that witch." None of us had any idea whether she meant baby boy in her weird stepmother way or as a sexual innuendo, because honestly, with this woman, it could be anything. We decided those screenshots needed to go straight to my dad. We considered that maybe it was just one of those bizarre millennial texting habits, but we all agreed my brothers and I would likely have to talk to her about her behavior. At this point, we were trying to come to terms with the idea that this woman could be impregnated by our thick-headed father and become the future mother of our next sibling, which would be an absolute nightmare. That same night, Henri tried to speak to our dad about our concerns with Sorrel, but was brushed off. On the day of the gala, I went to the mixer with Henri, and Teddy arrived later with the kids in tow. At the banquet, Sorrel was back to her strange mom routine, telling the kids to make their plates, lecturing them about vegetables, and so on. I had to keep an eye on them because my little sister is allergic to almost everything, and my little brother is autistic and has sensory issues that can cause him to throw up if something unfamiliar ends up on his plate. I had packed medication and sandwiches for the kids to avoid any issues. My little brother had stacked his plate as Sorrel told him, but when he came back to the table, the food was touching, so he could not eat it anymore. Sorrel started tutting and told him to eat, but honestly, you could threaten him all you want and he will not touch his plate. He said he lost his appetite and asked if I had food. I quietly gave him the sandwiches I packed because I knew this was coming. Sorrel told me to stop babying him and look to Dad for support, but Dad just put his hands up. Next, my little sister came back with a Greek salad. Henri and I immediately started picking out the olives, and Sorrel chimed in with the infamous babying comment. These kids are going to grow up to be picky eaters if you baby them like that. Henri explained that she was allergic. Sorrel suggested exposure therapy, but I told her that my sister would vomit if she ate olives. I then suggested that Sorrel go take some photos with Henri because I was becoming very irritated by her presence at the table. When Sorrel returned, I was giving my little sister her mealtime medicine. Sorrel slid into the seat next to us, put her hands out, and started whispering, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" She cannot take that with food. I gathered that she thought it was my sister's thyroid medicine, which we usually administer 2 hours before dinner since it cannot be taken with food. In reality, I was giving her diabetes mealtime medicine. Ironically, it was my little sister who calmly corrected her. She said, "No, I need to take it now. It is metformin. If I do not have it, I will poop myself." We all laughed. Sorrel said, "Oh, I thought it was her Synthroid." Teddy replied, "Nope, I gave that to her in the car." Sorrel then said, "Oh, you could have told me that." Teddy answered, "Why would I? Come on now." After dinner and speeches, we got in line for family photos. While we waited, my little sister started feeling sick from the soda she drank, so I took her to the bathroom. She ended up vomiting but felt better immediately. Some of it got on my dress, so I sent her to get water and told her to rejoin the family while I cleaned up in the bathroom. As I was cleaning, Teddy started texting me. Apparently, they had reached the front of the line and were waiting for me, but Sorrel kept insisting that they go ahead and get their photos taken. Clearly, everyone thought this was unbelievable and Henry had them step out of the line. Sorrel and Dad ended up going ahead to take their photos and then rejoined the family. When I got back to them, Teddy was holding onto my scarf and gently put it back around my neck. Then Sorrel reached over and tugged part of the scarf down to cover more of my chest and said, "That's better, more family friendly," winking at me. I readjusted it and said, "Please don't presume to touch me ever again." I did not mean it rudely. I said it calmly and meant every word. This offended her greatly. She grabbed Henry and said, "Oh my God, did you hear her?" But my dad pulled her away a little, whispering for her to calm down. When we got to the carpet for the photo, Sorrel started ushering and arranging us, saying, "Dad over here, okay, brother here, little ones in front." She placed herself and my dad in the center like they were the parents, with their hands on the shoulders of the children in front and my older brothers on either side. She put me off to the side, obviously. I could not care anymore. I just wanted to get out of there and go home. After a few photos, Henri kindly suggested we take some just of him and his siblings. Then he pulled me to the center, and as we rearranged, he whispered, "Good job putting up with this, we're almost done." A few more photos later, Sorrel said, "How about just me and the boys?" And she made me and my little sister step aside. Then she giggled, wait, carry me," and proceeded to jump onto my dad and Henri, who lifted her in front of them. We took one last full family photo to finish it off, with Sorrel arranging me behind her so she was almost completely blocking me from the camera. Again, I was tired and exasperated and could not have cared less. As the banquet wrapped up, we headed outside, getting ready to leave. Henri took the kids for a bathroom trip before the drive. We made small talk. At some point, the topic of dessert came up, and I commented on the creme brulee they had, pronouncing it in French because it is a French word and I am French. Sorrel interrupted and exaggeratedly mocked me, saying creme brulee, and laughed as if it were funny. Unfortunately, that was my last straw, and I said, "Anatole, take your girlfriend and get in the car right now," because I was about to kick this woman in the head. She scoffed and looked at me like I was overreacting, saying, "Sweetie, that's no way to talk to me or your dad." I told her that her glue-on eyelash was falling off and started walking to my car. I'm pretty sure I heard her call me a bitch as I walked away. I got in my car and saw her, my dad, and Teddy arguing. Henri came back out with the kids, and Teddy took them to the other car while Henri stayed to hash it out. Sorrel was obviously having it out about me as I saw her angrily pointing at my car while talking to Henri. I changed out of my heels in the car, and Teddy texted that he was going to start driving home with the kids. He said he basically told Sorrel to go screw herself and my dad to dump her. After a while, Henri came back to the car looking very haggard. I asked him what happened. He just leaned back, blew out air with a hand on his forehead, and said, "She has gone crazy." I started the car and we were about to leave when I heard a rap on my window. Sorrel and my dad were standing there. I opened the car door. Sorrel was crying hysterically and blubbering something. Her makeup was running and my dad was supporting her by the elbows. Immediately, I regretted not driving away, but it was too late, and they were blocking the door. I could barely understand what she was saying, but it was something like, "I don't know what I did to deserve this treatment. I don't know what I did to you. You don't have to be so protective about everything," and so on. I told her I was done with her personally, but out of respect for her relationship with my dad, she could have a conversation with Henri or my uncle tomorrow. For now, I thought she should just go home. She had stopped crying but was still talking hysterically, saying, "No, but like, what is your problem with me? Everything was fine until you came back. You're starting all of this for no reason, like you don't want the kids to have a mom, like I raised them too. I responded that yes, actually, I don't want the kids to have a mom like her, nor do they. I reached to close the car door, but she stepped in the way and kept going. Why are you so territorial? Not everything's a competition. I'm not here to steal your spot. Just because you think you should be the only woman around does not mean you should treat other women disrespectfully. At this point, I was trying to budge her out of the way so I could close the door. My dad was in the background telling his girlfriend that they should go. Henry chimed in saying, "Dad, get her out of here," but she struggled to stay in front of the door. I went into the glove box and grabbed a key to our old storage unit that we don't use anymore. I yelled at her to shut up, which silenced her momentarily. Holding up the key, I told her to fetch it and toss it behind her. She went to get the key. I had accidentally grabbed a $5 bill with it, so before closing the door, I stuffed the $5 into my dad's dinner jacket. I don't remember exactly what I said because I was so mad, but it was something like, "Go buy yourself a better side piece," and I slammed the gas and sped off. We had just gotten home when she began blowing up Henri's phone on the drive back and kept trying to call him. I sincerely hope this is the end of the story and that I won't have to give another update. If I do, it will either be because my dad has left her or he has gotten her pregnant. I am praying it is not the latter. I'm turning in now. I'll answer questions in the comments. Thank you for bearing with the story. I hope I never have to hear or see this woman again, but I'm guessing that's not likely. Update 2. I really do not care if anyone thinks this story is fake. That's fine. If I read it, I would think it is fake too. So, whatever. But I just had someone come into my comments trying to say that this story was ChatGPT generated because I used proper capitalization and EM dashes, while my last story was written like a hot mess. So how could this one be written properly? I am about to lose my mind. Take a look at my last post and the number of people who criticized my capitalization, punctuation, and rambling that made it obnoxious to read. I specifically wrote this one a bit nicer for you guys. I need to emphasize that both were typed on my phone. The first quite hurried, this one not much better but with more care. And I will not have you call me a bad writer for my first post just for me to put more energy into this one and have it accused of being a work of artificial intelligence. This is the last time I will entertain this. Run some GPT checkers if you insist. God forgive me for not putting the brain power of a Tolkien saga into these posts. May my Reddit body of work be spared from the ignominy of AI allegations. Update 3. Why are you still letting her around? Why are you still tolerating her? Why didn't you just get her out of your lives? After the dinner incident, we saw her on 2 more occasions 2 days apart, at the park after the graduation and at the banquet. She was only at the park because she tagged along with my dad, who my little brother wanted to see. She was at the banquet because my oldest brother was still optimistic that we could repair something with her. Teddy, his girlfriend, and I advised him to rescind his invitation. This part was too long to include in the story, but that night when he spoke to his dad about Sorrel, his dad begged him to give her another chance and said they could all talk as a family after the banquet. He also said the text and Sorrel's snarky jokes were just harmless parts of her character. Since the banquet was the next day, my brother thought they could come and discuss things afterward. Neither of those events involving her was my decision to make regarding whether she should have been there. Plus, as I had already mentioned, the only reason we considered maintaining any relationship with her was the possibility that she could be the mother of our next sibling. I want to reiterate that these events, starting from the family dinner, took place over the course of 3 days. It happened very quickly, and for most of that time, we were deliberating the right course of action. What about your dad? Why are you treating him so well all of a sudden? First, he's a no-good deadbeat, and now he's allowed at all of these events. We are not really treating him differently. He was banned from the graduation, but my little brother wanted to see him afterward. He was invited to the gala because Henry felt bad that he wasn't allowed at the graduation. He does not normally attend family events with us. The gala is the first event he has come to in many years. He regularly sees the kids every other week for the past 6 months now. He was absent and not a good dad for most of my life, which is why I refer to him so harshly. I do recognize that people have the potential to change, and I am not going to so quickly squander a chance for my younger siblings to grow up with a dad better than the one I knew. I am getting ready for work as I write this. This morning, Henri was at the hospital with his girlfriend who is recovering from knee surgery, but we had a family video call with him and my uncle and kind of unpacked everything. My uncle is going to talk to dad about this whole thing. Our consensus is that we do not want to see Sorrel again, and she is not allowed on visits or to contact the kids. We have also blocked her number. Carrie said, funniest part of the whole thing. She says this moments after trying to exclude OP from family pictures. The girlfriend's whole shtick is, I'm the only woman this family needs now. Step aside, since I know what everyone needs better than you. C. Torton said, this entire time I was wondering why no one just outright told her that she is not their mother and will never be their mother. Far Waters said, real or not, constant infantilizing is traumatizing. At the age of 22, I had to live with a relative who would squeal in delight when I got myself a glass of water. 8 years later, I still cannot stand being around children. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.